He's so through.
He's there,
Uh huh.
playing chalice.
And you're not.
Introduction for the first reading. So it is the first reading, right?
This
The
should be
opening words today are by Helen Keller.
right. This is the chalice reading,
Right, and then there's
and
an
then
opening words.
there's opening words, and then you're the first reading
So
down
I
here.
come up right after Beth, musician, me.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
Okay.
All
And
right.
this will be up here. Well,
All
I
right.
wish I had done one more copy of it,
Yeah,
but
it's good. It's good. Thanks.
we can read and put anything on top of this if you want, but it's all ready to go.
Good morning and welcome to the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists. I am so impressed with all of you who got out of bed and away from your coffee to go into the cold to get here. It speaks highly for our speaker. My name is Beth White and I will be your service leader for today. If you're visiting, please participate as you feel comfortable, and we hope that you'll stay for coffee and conversation following the service. Our congregation is committed to individual freedom of belief, welcomes diversity, seeks to promote a sense of community which enriches the spirit, which fosters religion. We are a mostly lay-led community, strengthened and enriched by weaving together the volunteer contributions of many of our members and friends. So as we begin our service, I invite you to uncross your legs, put your feet on the ground, take a deep breath, and if you're comfortable, close your eyes. And focus on your exhale, releasing all of the stress and the things you had to do to get here. so that you can be fully present. Relaxing into your seat. To be in this beloved community. Thank you. We acknowledge that we are in the traditional homelands of the Swababash Coast Salish native people. Someday I will know how to pronounce that word correctly. The Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time, thousands and thousands of years, and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is just so small, just one small step towards true allyship, that we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous peoples of this land and beyond. The theme for this month's service is Nurturing Gratitude. Our theme will be represented in our hymns and our readings today. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived here, you belong here. Earl?
Let us light our chalices together here in person and online with these words from Helen Keller. We gather this morning as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life that we share together.
Speaking of light, excuse me. It's important, you know, to have light, especially now. Our opening words are also from Helen Keller. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 355. We lift our hearts in thanks, found in your gray hymnal, and please, our unofficial choir, come on forward. Come on up.
Again, I jumped you. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. We lift our voice in thanks today for all the gifts of life, and first for peace that turns away the energies of strife, and next the beauty of the earth, its flowers and lovely things. Spring's great miracle of birth with
morning. Our first reading is by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage, and it's called Eternal Beloved of Mystery and Grace. Receive our prayer. We come before that which is greater than ourselves, in gratitude for the fullness of our lives, for the anguish and grief that informs our mission to side with love again and again, for the suffering and disenfranchisement of our people that foments our passion for justice and wholeness, for complex lives, for hard lives, for real, full, and overwhelmed lives. We give thanks for the blessings that we have been given, the reassurance of community, the steady warmth of hope, and the unwavering faith that there will be better days. We give thanks and seek your grace. Spirit of love, come alongside us with all the holy nudges that we need, so we may live in such a way that we celebrate all the blessings that we have been given, so we may be the blessings of the world.
We have two Swedish Scandinavian pieces today. The first one is called the Troll Mother's Lullaby, and it is a lullaby that mothers sing to their children in Sweden and Norway and that area. And we talked about having the whole congregation sing, but it's a little complicated. So Kat's going to sing it twice for us.
In English. When Mother Troll puts her small trolls to bed and wraps them up tight in her tail, then she sings to her 11 small trolls the loveliest words that she knows. Oh-I-I-boo, 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 oh-I-I-boo. When Mother Troll puts her small trolls to bed and wraps them up tight in her tail, then she'll sing to her 11 small trolls the loveliest words that she knows. Oh-I-I-boo, oh-I-I-boo,
I'm proud to introduce Lotta Gavel Adams, our resident troll expert. Lotta knows a lot about trolls. No pun intended. Somebody wrote this for me. Some are fun and some are scary, and all are interesting. Lotta Gavel Adams is Emerita Professor of Scandinavian Studies at the University of Washington, where she, for 30 years, taught courses in Nordic literature and culture. She held the Barbro Osher Endowed Chair in Swedish Studies at the University of Washington. She's a member of the Royal Swedish Academy of Letters, History, and Antiquities in Stockholm. She's been a resident of Vashon for 30 years. Welcome, Lotta.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. Now we get to see if we can get this PowerPoint to work. There we go. Okay. That was a lovely lullaby you sang there. You know, I've sang it so many times for my own daughter and for my granddaughters, and I can guarantee you 3 times in a row it puts them to sleep. So I'm seeing you, if you nod off a little bit, I understand. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, Beth, and thank you for inviting me today to your service. I'm going to talk about troll, particularly about our new troll on Point Robinson, Oscar the Bird King, and about nature, spirituality, if you want, a message about environmental stewardship and the importance of taking care of the planet we live on. I hope you've all been to see Oscar the Bird King, but where does he come? Good, have you seen? How many? Yeah, good. Oh, where does he come from? What does he want? Who built him? And that's what I'm going to talk about in my address today. Trolls are Nordic nature creatures. They emerge out of the mountains and the forests of Scandinavia, and they have existed in Nordic folklore for centuries, if not millennia. They own nature, and they have a thing or two to tell us human beings how to behave when we go out in nature. Here? Okay, here we go. Oscar is part of a series of 6 trolls, The Way of the Bird King, and it's Thomas Dambo who is the creator of this. It's part of a public art exhibition in the Pacific Northwest. It's sponsored by Scan Design Foundation in Seattle to share a message about the importance of environmental stewardship, sustainability, and the importance of taking care of the planet we live on. The artist behind Pacific Northwest Troll is Thomas Dambo. He's Danish and a wood sculptor artist, a skilled carpenter by trade, and a trash artist, as he calls it, and a rapper and a storyteller. He comes from a long storytelling tradition. He was born in Odense, Denmark in 1979, the same city as Hans Christian Andersen, some 174 years earlier. Thomas has loved trash since early childhood. Why? Because he could build all kinds of things with the stuff that other people threw away. It fed his creative imagination. And his trolls want to teach the human beings to stop wasting resources and to stop polluting the planet. His point is, which he expanded on in a TED Talk on Earth Day in 2022, in the US alone, we produce 12 million tons of scrap wood per year. And we could certainly use that scrap wood for better things than to filling our landfills. To build trolls, for example. That would be enough for 2.5 million trolls, which is probably more than we need, but it can be used for other things too. Birdhouses, for example. Oops, we go quicker here. There are 6 trolls in the series Way of the Bird King. In the upper row, you see Jacob Two Trees in Issaquah, and next, Frankie the urban troll, Frankie Feetsplinter, outside the National Nordic Museum in Ballard. And then the cute little girl troll Brun Idun in Lincoln Park, who plays the flute to talk with the orcas. Something she's smoking a pipe, but no, she's playing for the orcas. No. In the lower row, we have the most majestic of them all, our own Oscar the Bird King on Vashon. And next is Pia Peacekeeper on Bainbridge, and finally Olle Bolle in Portland. Oscar the Bird King, the most majestic troll of them all. Here he is. You have all been there, I hope. The Troll project has a long history. Thomas Dambo and his American wife Alexa came to Vashon 4 years ago and to explore sites for his trolls, which have become quite famous internationally in the last decade. Thomas found the perfect spot in the middle of a field of nettles and blackberries on Upper Gold Beach, Upper Point Robinson on Vashon. And he became quite euphoric, as you can see, about the site. This is a before and after picture. Trolls are not built overnight. There are lots of people behind the Troll project. You may recognize Linan Polit, the project manager for Oscar, Cheryl Lubert from the Vashon Chamber of Commerce, and Elaine Ott Rochefort from Vashon Park District, and John Whalen, the site manager and contractor, here loading some salvaged madrona branches for Oscar's beard. And in the upper right-hand corner, you see Fidelma McGuinn, the president of Scan Design Foundation, who has been a driving force behind the whole Troll project and who also succeeded in getting the Paul Allen Foundation on board to fund the project. It took a crowd of people to build Oscar and Frankie, who was also built on the island. No less than 80 volunteers, including 10 experienced carpenters, in addition to Thomas' own crew of 7. All in all, volunteers contributed 1,061 hours of volunteer work. And it took 235 used and discarded wood pallets and 23 logs, 2 pickup trucks of salvaged madrona branches for Oscar's beard to build him. The volunteers also built 175 birdhouses and all to specs that are appropriate for birds that inhabit Vashon Island. The site needed restoration. It was overridden with nettles and invasive blackberries. The Vashon Land Trust and Vashon Forest Steward cleared the land and have been doing forest remediation on the site, planting native plants and culling old alder trees. The king of all the Pacific Northwest trolls is Oscar on Vashon. He has a crown of birdhouses. Oscar is the most majestic of all the trolls and the most imposing. He is pointing a finger at you, at us, telling us, the human beings, that we need to take responsibility for this planet that we live on, because trash and pollution is destroying the environment. One day, Jim Deers, the local bird photographer, came to visit Oscar, and he found no less than 4 bald eagles sitting in the trees around Oscar, checking him out. I wish they would build a nest in his crown or something. Have you noticed his eyes? Yes, one thing that visitors marvel at are Oscar's eyes. They follow you and look at you wherever you go. One day, Edgar, a local Vashon forest troll, yes, came to visit Oscar, and they immediately connected. Of course you know who the artist behind Edgar is in the lower picture there. Edgar and Oscar connected Michelangelo style, finger to finger, and swore to continue the fight for a more sustainable world and planet. Brun Idun at the Lincoln Park is another iconic troll in the series. She's the key to the Coast Salish culture here. When Thomas was here in 2021, he learned about the resident orcas who was having a tough time surviving in the Puget Sound. Thomas created Brun Idun, a girl who plays the flute to communicate with the orcas. He wanted the Nordic trolls to connect the Nordic trolls to the Coast Salish folklore and culture. Brun Idun got her name from the last name of the Scan Design founders, Inger and Jens Brun, who paid for more than half of the troll project. And Idun is the goddess of spring and youth in Norse mythology. Idun is the keeper of the magic apples of immortality, which the Norse gods must eat to preserve their youth. Scan Design connected Thomas with John Holiday, a Muckleshoot tribal leader and artist known as Coyote. and invited Coyote to Thomas' workshop in Denmark to explore what the Nordic and Coast Salish people might have in common. Thomas and Coyote became fast friends. I asked Coyote what they might have in common, and he answered, the Danes take care of the young, and they take care of their old people, and they eat fish. We are brothers. Coyote carved a special Coast Salish flute for Brunibun to call the orcas with, but it was too heavy to mount on the sculpture, so it's lying at his feet. So take a look at it if you go there. This is the picture of the official inauguration of the Troll project with Mayor Bruce Harrell, and in the center you see Coyote. The last entrolled troll was Frankie Feetsplinter. Frankie is a non-binary troll and prefers to be addressed as a they. They were built on Vashon Island. It created a bit of a stir when they were transported in 2 parts on a flatbed truck on the ferry from Vashon to Fauntleroy. Frankie is the only troll in the area who has a heart. Misty Olwyn Youngman, who volunteered at the billing site, sneaked in a wooden heart in their chest before she was shipped to Seattle. That's so sweet. Frankie Feetsplinter stands outside the National Nordic Museum in Ballard. They are the only urban troll in the Pacific Northwest series, and they are angry. So they are stomping on a wooden bench outside the museum, crushing it. Why? Because people in the cities are polluting the air with their cars and not getting out in nature to breathe fresh air. I suspect that Frankie is modeled on Norwegian sculptor Gustav Vigeland's famous Angry Boy. In the Vigeland Park outside of Oslo, I've inserted a picture here of the Angry Boy that you can see. Frankie was supposed to have big eyebrows to make them look angry, but the eyebrows hid the eyes, so Thomas took them off. As you remember, the eyes of Thomas Dambo's troll are very important. Now, let's step back in history to learn about the trolls in their original cultural context, to get an understanding of where they come from and what they represent. Let's go to Norway. You only need to travel up the coast of Norway to find Trollveggen, Trollstigen, Trollfjorden. When you look at the dramatic landscape, it's hard not to become a believer that there are indeed trolls in those mountains. And there are Norwegian folk tales to support the idea. Along the coast of Norway, you will also find street signs for troll crossings at particularly busy intersections. Stories about trolls have circulated in Scandinavia for centuries, particularly among the more remote rural areas. The earliest recorded mention of a troll woman is in an Icelandic saga from the 9th century, 800. Trolls were probably related to the giants, the Jotuns in Old Norse mythology. They were the forces of chaos surrounding the Middle Earth where the human lives. Around the year 1000, people in Scandinavia were converted to Christianity. The missionaries and monks were suspicious of the trolls and their close connection to nature, so they got the trolls conflated with the devil. Thus, in later troll folklore, trolls burst when you hold up a cross to them. Trolls live in the mountains, and they are active at night. And if they stay out after daybreak, they turn to stone. So that's what happened at for a troll wedding party in the upper corner there. They had so much fun, they stayed after daybreak, and they turned into Trollveggen, which is it's a mountain range. You see that right there. So when did these troll stories get written down? The 19th century was a turbulent century in Europe. It started with Napoleon. The Napoleonic Wars, 1803 to 1815, raised havoc in Europe. Borders had to be redrawn for most countries, depending on who lost and who won. In the Nordic countries, as case in point, Finland, which had been ruled by Sweden for 600 years, now had to be ceded to Russia. Russia won. And Norway, which had been ruled by Denmark for 600 years, were now forced into a reluctant union with Sweden. This caused a strong waves of nationalism that to flourish everywhere in Europe. People were starting to ask, who are we? What does it mean to be Swedish? What does it mean to be Finnish? What does it mean to be Norwegian? To find out what it meant to be Norwegian, two young Norwegian folklorists, Jørgen Moe and Christian Asbjørnsen, traveled up to the north of Norway into the more remote rural areas to collect the stories that the real Norwegians were telling each other. They wanted to know what the true Norwegian narrative was. And what they found was lots and lots of stories about trolls, and they wrote them down. Although trolls had existed in oral tradition for centuries, it was not until the mid-1800s that these troll stories were written down. So in 1841, Asbjørnsen and Moe published Norwegian folk tales. It became wildly popular. It was translated to English already 1859, and this publication has not been out of print since. The latest translation is from 2019. Soon, Asbjørnsen and Moe started thinking about having the stories illustrated. Nobody really knew what trolls looked like in real life, so to say. People had different ideas. Some would say, well, personally, I have not seen a troll, but my brother has, and he never lies, and he says that. So Asbjørnsen and Moe contacted several artists, but when it came to the trolls, they found the perfect guy, a perfect artist, in Theodor Kittelsen. He had a particularly wild and suitable imagination. He was born in 1857, so he was only in his early 20s when he started to make his drawings of trolls, what they really looked like. He portrays them as forest mountain creatures. In this image, we can see a troll waking up, and the sun is setting, and the sun is reflecting in the troll's eye. The Norwegian trolls are big and scary, and you have to be respectful and behave well when you step out into nature. You may recognize this guy under the Aurora Bridge in Fremont. Even before Thomas Trolls appeared in Seattle, we actually had a Norwegian troll pop up under the Aurora Bridge. He was the product of a Fremont's Art Council competition in 1990 to try to clear out the trash and drug dealings that was going on under the bridge. The winning version was a troll, which obviously was inspired by Kittelsen's forest troll. It also draws on the story, folk tale about the three billy goats Gruff. But as there are not very many goats trotting along the Aurora Bridge nowadays, this troll has grabbed a VW Volkswagen and picked him down. In the original version, it was orange and had California license plates. Now it's not orange any longer. I miss that. Norway's most famous dramatist, Henrik Ibsen, included trolls in his wild and magnificent play Per Gynt from 1867. He asked his friend Edvard Grieg, Norway's most famous composer and pianist, to write music to the play, which he did. Matt will have we may listen to a recording after. It is very majestic. Just to give you a little background about Per Gynt that is relevant to troll stories today too. Per is a happy-go-lucky, irresponsible young man, the one that mothers worry about. You know, he had seduced the Troll King's daughter, who is now pregnant. So Per gets called in front of the Troll King, who wants to give him some question to check if he's worthy of becoming the future king of the trolls. So the question he asks Per is, what is the difference between man or human being and a troll? Per scratches his head, he doesn't know, and he runs away. And then the troll explains, to be a man, a human being, means that you have to follow your calling and do something good out of yourself. Being a troll means, in Norwegian, be seg selv nok, to be good only onto yourself, to be selfish, and focus on your own self-interest. So Per runs away and proves thereby that he is indeed a troll. Trolls have always been used as teaching tools. If we leap forward a couple of decades into the 20th century, schools have now become mandatory for all children in Scandinavia. Even children of farmers and laborers have to learn how to read and write. New books were desperately needed. While folk tales about trolls have been topics of stories for farmers and adults in rural communities, they were not particularly suitable for children. They were often too gruesome or scary. So now the teachers set to work and they wrote a publication that was published between 1907 and 1915 among farm spirits and troll, bland tomtar och troll. This was in the earlier primary readers, which we see here to the left. In the olden times, the working class children were taught, 1, to be obedient, 2, to be content with what they have, and 3, to be humble. But now, when after industrialization arrived in Scandinavia, the ruling class, formerly the ruling class didn't want the working class people to have ideas of their own and kind of be rebellious or uppity. But after industrialization arrived in Scandinavia, and society needed a whole new set of attitudes and skills for the growing generation. Young people had to be brave, enterprising, and smart, and take charge. And this is also reflected in the stories in the 19th century. So John Bauer is the creator of the Swedish trolls for the industrial age. Swedes immediately recognize the forest, the smooth stones that have been ground smooth by the receding ice cap some 10,000 years earlier. You recognize it, but it's also different. It's stylized. The lines and drawings are clear. The shapes are very simple and clear. The composition is striking. Often the figures are portrayed in profile, like if they are on their way somewhere. Bauer's trolls also look like they emerge out of the nature. And all this is very typical of the ornamental Art Deco style in the early 1900s. Bauer's trolls are less scary than Kittelsen's, although they did have the scary habit of kidnapping young princesses or blonde, slim girls, not for eating them, but for marrying them, and that's really scary enough. In this story, The Bold, the Troll, and the Adventure, we meet one of these brave, enterprising young lads in the industrial age. He's out looking for an adventure, and he meets a troll with long, hairy ears. Oops. And he immediately addresses him, "Hello, uncle, I'm looking for an adventure. Do you know where I could find one?" "Well," said the troll, "I don't have time to talk to you right now. I have a young princess waiting for me back in the cave, and I'm bringing her a sack full of silver and a delicious snake to nibble on." Thought the boy, a missing princess. That might be an adventure. And then he meets 2 more trolls. And the last one is one with a long, blotchy nose, and he has a sack full of precious stones for the princess and a fat, juicy toad for her to nibble on. Thought the boy. This looks like it could be an adventure, and he was not afraid. After the industrial age. So the boy runs back to the cave and finds a single small window high up in the chamber where the princess was held captive, and he crouches there and listens. The troll mother is very happy because tonight we're going to announce the engagement of the princess to one of her sons, and they will have a long and happy marriage together. Unless somebody speaks the fearful verse that will destroy them. "Which is that?" asked one of the dumb trolls that just entered. "Well, it is, 'Come fresh wind and blow away, long ears, huge chin and big nose. Come west wind and sweep away all these trolls from Mountain Grey,' says the mother." And the young boy listens very carefully and quickly memorized the verse. So the big moment has arrived. "Which of my beautiful sons would you like to marry?" asked the troll mother. And quickly the young boy up in the little window recites the verse. Come fresh wind and blow away, come west wind and sweep away all these trolls from Mountain Grey. And all the trolls are swept away, and the boy brings back the princess to the castle, where they marry and live happily ever after. These were the 20th century stories. Trolls have stayed in the books for children for the entire 20th century. But during that time, trolls became cuter and less dangerous with every decade, and they got more and more removed from the connection with nature. Thus, in the 21st century, writers, film directors, and artists are reclaiming the trolls in their art. So now the trolls enter the grown-up art world again in literature, film, and art. And they again become a force in an all-powerful nature. One such film is the Norwegian Trolljägarna, the Troll Hunters from 2010. It's a fake documentary about a secret Norwegian agency with a mission to capture and kill trolls. The Norwegian government does not want people to believe that the trolls are real, but they learn otherwise. It's filmed with a handheld camera by 2 college students on a project. The jerkiness of the camera makes it both scary and really, really funny. The ending is dramatic. This is available on Netflix if you want to see it. Another mesmerizing troll movie is Border, Gräns in Swedish. It's available on Prime. Sweden submitted it 2018 to the Academy Awards in the category of Best Foreign Language Film. It's a movie about very complex feeling. Some viewers are shocked and disgusted by it because it does go beyond what might be considered good taste. And others, like the reviewer Howard Fishman in The New Yorker, who called it shocking and provocative and found that it reached into the expressionist traditions of August Strindberg and Ingmar Bergman. Fishman headlined his review, "I accidentally walked into Border, and it kind of changed my life." At the center of the story is Tina, who is born into a troll's body, but lives her life as a human being, as a custom agent, with a particular skill to smell feelings of guilt and shame and bad consciences people walking by. That makes her ideal to capture drug smugglers, for example. The makeup artist has done an amazing job with Eva Melander to turn her into Tina. So she feels like a freak in her troll body, and she's continuously trying to explore what it means to be människa, be a human being. The same question that was brought up in Ibsen's Peer Gynt play that I talked about earlier. The issue comes to a point when Tina meets Vore, another troll, and feels physically attracted to him, and learns that she might be a troll. The images in this film is absolutely mesmerizing. It brings us back to John Bauer's trolls. And one question that is explored in this film is that really struck with me. What does it mean to be a human being? What are our responsibilities on this planet? That's the same question as was asked in Peer Gynt, of course. What does it mean to be human beings in a world where the forces of chaos are as alive today and scary today as they were in the folk tales in the mid-1800s? Which brings us full circle back to Thomas Dambo's Pacific Northwest project about man's responsibility in nature and on this planet. He picks up on the old tradition of using trolls as teaching tools. This picture is taken in June 13th, 2021. Thomas and Alexa came to Vashon to scout out possible sites. It rained dogs and cats, but that didn't deter them. They prevailed, and Thomas found his spot. Thomas' trolls look mostly just lovable and not really scary. But they do have a lesson to teach us human beings. We have a responsibility to take care of our planet. Oops, one more. By now, Thomas has built more than 200 trolls in the US. He is on a mission to save the world from drowning in trash and saving our planet, one troll at a time. Thank you.
you so much. That was fabulous. So Matt has some special music to introduce.
Touched on a lot of this about Peer Gynt and him meeting in the trolls and coming into the cave. So the music follows him coming into the cave and meeting with the trolls, and him getting asked the question, a difference between humans and trolls, and when he runs away, it crescendos into this chase between him and the trolls, and his escape from the trolls. So if you kind of listen to it, you'll see that pattern going through. So please enjoy.
This is a multimedia event. Let's hold a moment of contemplation and worship, an old English word that means to consider things of worth in a generous and abundant silence. '67 in your gray hymnal, we sing now together. And the chorale, please come up.
We sing now together our song of thanksgiving, rejoicing in good the ages have wrought. For
We'll now pause the recording as we prepare our heart held in love. So in a different kind of order, let's take a moment of silence to cultivate our open hearts. Please join in singing There Is a Love. The song can be found in the front of your gray hymnal.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
We'll now resume recording the service. As members and friends of the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists, we commit to supporting our congregation. Financial resources help to pay our speakers and staff, support our social justice programs, and maintain our building. Please support VIUU with your pledges and offerings so that we can continue to be a vital community. Our congregation engages beyond our walls for peace, social and economic justice, freedom of belief, and protection of our planet and its inhabitants. Once a month, we contribute to the financial offering to a regional, national, or international organization that aligns with our values. This week's offering supports our beloved community. Our greeters will now pass the baskets while we receive the offering and join in singing We Give Thanks, also found in the front of your gray hymnal.
Give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here, nor far away, for the time we share with love and care. Give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here, and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Gratitude by Swiftwater. Let's start with the people we love and those who love us, thankful that they're in our lives, obliging us to open our hearts. Let open hearts embrace the earth, the sea and the soil and the stars, blessed by bold beauty, the bounty of being. Then, with hearts open to beauty, let us embrace the arts and the generation of learning that we should have wisdom. Let what wisdom we have, and won and wanting, lead us to strive so that seventh generation hence can live more fully. It is in that work, and that alone, that we can express our thankful spirit. May we make it so. For the opening to make it so, let us be truly grateful. Amen.
This extinguishing the chalice with these words by Seneca, the Stoic philosopher of ancient Rome. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not.
Could we have a postlude?
Yeah. Nice to be able to do that again. But we should pause the recording, please, just because, well, it's copywritten material. I mean,